Hello students, and today we are studying the fifth lecture of class 11th computer science from your NCERT book. Chapter 1 computer system is what we are covering. In the previous lectures, we have studied two important components of a computer which comprise of the CPU and the input devices. And today we'll be focusing on the third important component, which is the output device. All right. So in case you have missed or skipped the previous lectures, to enhance your understanding, I would really request you to please watch those videos so that you remain connected to the content that we'll be understanding or explaining in this video. Okay, so let's get started. Now, output devices are the devices that provide some output from the computer to the user. Okay, when we studied about the input devices, there were two main points that we noted in the definition. The first point was that they send signals or data into the computer and they convert human understandable form or human understandable data into a form that is understandable by the computer, that is the binary form. Okay, now in case of output devices, these 2 points will be completely reversed. The first point would be the output device is the device that receives data from the computer instead of sending data to the computer. Okay, and the second point would be it converts the data that is coming from the computer, that is the digital information that is coming from the computer, into a human readable form. Now that human understandable form can be either English language or numbers that can be displayed on the screen, or any document that is printed out in the form of hard copy using an output device like a printer. Okay, so you have to be very careful while understanding the difference, that in case of output device, now the information of the computer, the digital information, is getting converted into a form that can be understood by humans. Okay, now after this comes what are the kinds of output devices. Now the first output device that you already know is the monitor, the screen on which you are seeing this video. Okay, and then comes the speaker for audio output if you want to play a song or you want to listen to something. Then you have a printer. Printer can be a 3D printer or any kind of printer that brings digital information from the computer into a hard copy form. We'll be understanding what is a hard copy and soft copy later in this lecture. Then apart from that, what is another kind of output device? Then you have headphones or output devices. So anything that is receiving some information from the computer and giving it to the user is an output device. Okay, now proceeding further, we just studied that a printer is a kind of output device. Now a printer converts digital information and provides a physical form to it. Now what do I mean by a physical form? The physical form is known as a hard copy. So any information that is stored in the computer is referred to as the soft copy, because it is soft by software. The soft word in soft copy or in software means basically you cannot physically touch it. It is something inside the computer. Okay, like you cannot physically touch a software, you can touch a hardware. Similarly, you cannot physically touch a software, the soft copy, you can touch a hard copy. So the printer brings the information from the computer into a physical form, and that physical form is known as a hard copy. Okay, now this is the first important point about a printer. Now printers are of three kinds: the inkjet, the laser jet, and the dot matrix printer. These are the types that have been existing since long. Now there is a fourth category of printer that is quite recent and quite modern, which is known as the 3D printer. Now what is the 3D printer? 3D printer basically creates replicas or copies of physical objects. So there would be three-dimensional copies. There won't be a single page on which information or photos would be displayed. It would be a three-dimensional thing. Okay, so 3D printers are very common in industries like manufacturing industries or in medical industry, where you want to create replicas of body organs that are also being tried, right? So 3D printers are gaining more and more attention these days because of their growing usage, and how people are finding them useful in more and more industries. All right, so these are the important points that are mentioned in your NCERT books. All this content I have taken from your NCERT book, the soft copy of your NCERT book that is available on the NCERT website. So again, summarizing these points, because some of you requested me that we would like to see the important points summarized at the end of the video, so that it can help us in making notes and preparing for exam. So in today's lecture, we studied about output devices. What are output devices? When you write its definition, you'll be mentioning that those are the devices that receive some information or data from the computer, and they convert that digital information into a human readable or human understandable form. All right, then you'll be giving examples about the output devices. This is I'm telling you how you have to frame your notes when you are preparing for your exams. If you have to write point wise what are output devices, then you can make use of these points. See, I would always suggest you guys that whether it is an exam or anywhere you have to make notes, you must write all the points, all the information, everything that you are conveying in the form of points, because points make it very crystal clear to the reader what you want to convey. Okay, so in the form of paragraph, generally it becomes information becomes crumbled and messy and not very visible. In form of points, it is easier to remember. Like, first point would be what is a output device. Second point would be giving the example of an output device. Now, when you give an example of a printer, you can give details of what is a printer. Any device that brings output in the physical form, and that physical form is known as a hard copy. Okay, then you can explain what are the types of printer. And printer types, I have told you there are 4 important types of a printer. So you can mention these printer types in your exams also. Okay, and while explaining the 3D printer, you can mention that it creates 3-dimensional replicas of objects, or copies, 3-dimensional copies of objects. All right, so this was all for this lecture. In further lectures, we'll be studying about the other main components of the computer, and importantly of the CPU, like the memory, the primary memory, types of primary memory, and so on. We'll also look at the evolution of computer systems. So stay tuned. Until then, mind your exam. In case you have any doubts, please mention us in the comment section below. If you liked the video, if you understood the concepts, please share it with your friends, mention it to your relatives, and don't forget to subscribe the channel. Thank you.